Larry Elder recently dropped out of the race for the GOP nomination and endorsed Donald Trump, even endorsed his outfit, apparently. Elder has written a new book, As California Goes, My Mission to Rescue the Golden State and Save the Nation. It's right here. The book's really good, especially if you lived through this process, as we both did together. Larry Elder joins us now. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Okay, why the decision to drop out and why the decision to back Donald Trump?
Well, my candidacy was kind of throttled at the very beginning because I met the debate criteria, but Ronna McDaniel, the chairwoman of the GOP, said that one of the polls I had to submit showing me at 1% or better, I couldn't use because it was, quote, affiliated with Trump, close quote. She was referring to the Rasmussen poll. Right. Rasmussen then put out a statement and said, no, we're not affiliated with Trump. There's no reason why Elder can't use it. So if you can't get up there in the first debate to talk about the issues you want to talk about, fatherlessness, the need for school choice in urban America, a need for an amendment to the Constitution to set spending to a certain percentage of the GDP, you can't make the second debate, let alone the third. So it wasn't really going to go anywhere. I was running as a mega guy anyway, and the reason I was running is because I wanted to talk about some of the issues that, in my opinion, Trump was not talking about. When I decided to drop out, I had a meeting with him last week at Mar-a-Lago. We talked about this, and I said, in particular, please start emphasizing the epidemic of fatherlessness. He put out a tweet and then mentioned that Larry Elder has been talking about fatherlessness and families, and he supported me and also endorsed the book.
And so you will be working with him going forward, and it's interesting to see you there at Mar-a-Lago. So, you know, during the recall campaign,
yes,
those sort of images is what the Newsom people used against you, right? This idea
sure did.
That you were a Republican and then you backed Donald Trump, and, you know, we can't support somebody like that. You tell a really interesting story towards the beginning of this book of meeting these, like, two nice little old Jewish ladies,
right,
who you had this great conversation with, that you said, who'd you vote for? Of course you didn't vote for me, right, because you're a Republican and they'll never vote for a Republican. This state's still overwhelmingly Democratic.
Right.
How does the Republican Party break through to some of those folks? Because in order to ever win an election in this state, you got to convince some of those Democrats to start voting for Republicans.
Well, that's the problem. The ladies and I were talking, and I said, how do you feel about crime? Oh, outrageous. How do you feel about the way Gavin Newsom shut down the state in a more severe way because of COVID than did any of the other 49 governors? Outrageous. How do you feel about homelessness? Outrageous. I said, so here we are completing each other's sentences, but you didn't vote for me. I said, have you ever had a conversation with a conservative Republican? And they both admitted they had not. So that's the problem. Somehow, some way, the voters in California have been indoctrinated to believe, no matter how bad things are, on crime, on homelessness, on the fact that people are leaving California for the first time in the last several years, Republicans are worse. And by the way, Trump never endorsed me during the campaign. I did not seek his endorsement. He did not make it. But over and over again, you saw the only picture I'd ever taken with the man, us with our thumbs up, and they showed it over and over again, and they said, they meaning commercial cut by Obama, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, stop the Republican takeover. Wow. They never said Gavin Newsom doing a great job on crime, on homelessness, on schools, on budget. Stop the Republican takeover, and it worked.
Although you clearly made the point you're a fan of Trump recently.
Well, yes.
Yeah, but let's talk about
my views are no different than any other Republican.
In terms of
pro-life,
sure,
low taxes, low regulation, pro-school choice. What is it about me that's different than any other basic Republican?
Obviously, you'd never run for office before. You did very, very well in terms of getting Republicans behind you in this state. What was your biggest takeaway from the recall? Biggest thing you learned in terms of maybe a surprise of actually running?
I knew the media would be unfair. The LA Times endorsed Newsom, opposed the recall, said it was undemocratic. But I did not expect the LA Times columnist to refer to me as Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. Subheadline, you've been warned. That was a bit much. I didn't expect that, but I knew the media was going to be unfair.
You know, going forward, obviously Gavin Newsom was able to win that, and now he's talked about so much nationally as a potential presidential candidate. What do you make of that and what he has done since the stuff you write about here?
Well, two things. He is more unpopular now than he's ever been. Unfortunately, it took 2 years for that to set in. People are concerned about crime. They're concerned about homelessness, and his poll numbers have never been worse. The other big thing is he wants, of course, to become president.
Although he says he doesn't.
There's a reason that he's not announced, and that reason is Kamala Harris. When Bernie Sanders won the Nevada caucuses in 2020, and on the eve of the South Carolina primary, James Clyburn, the longtime House member of South Carolina, endorsed Joe Biden. He got a promise from Joe Biden that his first Supreme Court nominee would be what? A black female. Biden ran with a black female. And Gavin Newsom said if Dianne Feinstein can't finish out her term, and she did not, he'd appoint a black female. Blacks are the most loyal part of the Democratic base. Black females are even more loyal. There was an LA Times poll that showed her popularity, Kamala Harris' popularity among blacks, 70%. It wasn't broken down by gender, Elex, but I assure you, she's even more popular among black females. And they feel, black females, that the ridicule of her cackle and her giving a thankless job like getting to the root causes of immigration is both unfair and sexist. First primary for the Democrats in South Carolina, 60% of the Democratic voters are black. Most of those are black female. And if Kamala Harris is drop-kicked for some white dude like Gavin Newsom, black females won't vote Republican, Elex. They'll be so angry, though, but they won't vote at all. And as a result, that will guarantee whoever the nominee is on our side will win. They cannot afford that. That's why Gavin Newsom has not announced. He knows the same analysis I just gave you.
And maybe it's why Joe Biden is still running, because he may know that.
Well, if Joe Biden can't fog up a mirror, the next batter up is Kamala Harris.
Okay, there you go. You heard it from Larry Elder. Always great to see you. And it was a real bummer you weren't on the debate stage, because I think it would have been better for the debate.
It's a nice, quick, breezy read. I think you'll enjoy the book.
Yeah, I did. There it is. You see it right there. As Goes California. Larry Elder, thanks so much. Still to come.
My pleasure.